Doom, Quake and Duke Nukem 3D are just some of the great 90s PC first-person shooter games. Here's another one that you can add to that list, DUSK. The major difference with DUSK being that it was made in 2018. DUSK wears its retro inspiration on its sleeve, from its graphics and controls to its level design and progression. The polygonal art style and low detail textures help give the game a retro look, but it is definitely of higher quality than its inspiration. At 1080p, the game looks incredibly clean and crisp. It also runs extremely smoothly with stable frame rates well over 60 frames per second. It's like you're playing a retro game with all the benefits of modern technology, and it's pretty great. DUSK doubles down on its horror themes, and it's not just one style of horror. The first episode feels like a mix of Call of Cthulhu and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Further on, we start to see elements of Stalker. The different horror inspirations aren't just haphazardly thrown together, they all fit in well with the game's narrative. It's a story of crazy cultists and mad scientists dabbling a little too much into occult phenomena. Your character, aptly named Dusk Dude, happens to get caught up in the mix. It's not the most original story in the world, but what's especially interesting is how the game chooses to unfold its story. It isn't just thrust upon the player with cutscenes or expository dialogue, it's the enemies you face and the levels you traverse that paint the picture. Speaking of the levels, level design is an area in which DUSK truly excels. It features small labyrinthine levels, each mixed with a good amount of action and environmental puzzles. Remarkably, there weren't really any points where I found myself wandering around aimlessly not knowing where to go. That's pretty commendable for a game that is essentially a set of mazes. On top of that, every level has its own identity and feels memorable, whether that's due to a unique theme or use of a level specific mechanic. Movement and gunplay are incredibly fast and may take modern FPS players aback at first. Encounters are quite ridiculous at high speed, but also good hectic fun. Zipping around and wasting foes one after another just feels good. The weapons are your standard first person shooter affair, shotguns, rifles, grenade launchers and the like. They work fine enough, but don't expect any cool surprises. Enemy variety on the other hand is really good. New enemy types are constantly introduced, which helps shake up the action throughout. The reveals of some of the creepier enemy designs are some of the spookiest moments in the game. The game presents a decent challenge on the medium difficulty setting, and even easy isn't a cakewalk. For those who just want to comfortably breeze through the game, there is a setting known as accessible which allows you to do just that. DUSK is a blast from the past that was released in the here and now, with its finely crafted levels, fluid gunplay, and not to mention a varied and well executed soundtrack. There's no reason why old school first person shooter fans shouldn't check out DUSK.